we will follow two bosses and discover employees that use illegal drugs at work.
I'm just straight up lazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, smoke weed, I'll drink. You know, come in, smoke a bowl before work just to like calm down.
We will first follow the CEO of O'Neill's Clothing, Toby Bose. Headquartered in Irvine, California, since Toby joined the company, O'Neill has been growing really fast, and the only way to see which things to improve are to go undercover and see what things need to be corrected. He'll be going undercover as Frederick. For his first job, we see him traveling to Las Vegas, Nevada to work with a seasonal sales associate. He meets up with Jesus, and he first takes him to the tour of the store. It shows here, as Jesus didn't really know a lot about the products that they have on sale. This was one of Toby's fears, and one of the main things that's holding the company back from growing even faster. We then see Jesus giving the cleaning job to Toby, and he walks away just to talk to his friends, ignoring both Toby and the incoming customers. Toby's annoyed by Jesus, but he doesn't want to blow his cover, so he just does his task. Later, the two get to talk, and Jesus reveals that he doesn't like O'Neill because it's such a douche brand. He says that people that wear those kinds of clothes are douches, so he doesn't really like to be associated with them. We then see Toby getting angry, but things get even worse when Jesus reveals that he smokes weed at work and offers to bring him one.
Sorry, what was that?
I know how to grow some really good weed if you're really interested.
Jesus is very passionate about weed, and he even advises Toby to open a weed shop instead of the store if he wins the competition. Toby's shocked by all that he's hearing, but he still didn't want to blow his cover, so he just changes the subject and they talk about their families.
And I'm at the Citadel Outlet Malls in Commerce, California. I'm gonna be working in the stockroom today.
And he meets up with Michael, and he first shows him how to scan the inventory and stock them. While doing the job, Toby sees the scanning devices in the computer systems are really outdated, and it's wasting a lot of time and energy for the employees. And this is another thing that's holding the company back, and he plans to fix it as well. And finally, we see Toby's undercover time coming to an end. First in was Jesus, and Toby starts the conversation by asking him if he really thought that O'Neill's clothing are for douches. And we see Jesus here immediately answering by saying yes. Toby then confronts him about his weed smoking and tells him that he's a liability for the company, and Jesus doesn't really have any defense and waits to be fired, but Toby goes on to tell him that he was also reckless and irresponsible when he was his age, so he wants to give him another chance and help him change. Toby then offers to mentor him personally and train him, which Jesus accepts and thanks Toby for giving him a second chance.
I've never had that father like advice. Like I've learned everything by myself, so I look up to him as a mentor.
Next in was Michael, and Toby tells him that he was impressed by his hard work and tells him that the computer system will be upgraded in every store, and he then gives him $10,000 to help with his family's financial issue and another $40,000 so he can go to college and follow his dreams.
You know, it's like somebody like really cares, you know, I felt like that's what was given to me today.
And now, we follow the president and CEO of Hooters, Kobe Brooks. Headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, the business model of Hooters is based on three principles: chicken wings, beer, and the beautiful women that serve them. He'll be going undercover as Scotty Archer, a contractor who's looking to branch out to the restaurant business. For his first job, he travels to Dallas, Texas to work under the manager, and he meets up with Dave and he gets him right into the job. Kobe first starts with taking out the trash and then moves to the kitchen to wash the chicken wings. The job is a little hard for Kobe as he hasn't done much physical work for a long time, but he tries his best and continues to take out the trash, and he then goes back to wash the dishes, but he accidentally drops a glass and breaks it. Dave is really not happy with Kobe's work in the kitchen, and the next day, he gives him the promotional job. Here we see Kobe meeting up with Brittany and Amanda, who work as Hooters promo girls, and they go out to the street and give free samples and promote the restaurant. Kobe's not really great at sales, but the biggest shock to him was learning that a lot of people don't really like Hooters because they think the way the waitresses dress is demeaning to women, and it's not a place for family. This comes as a shock to Kobe, as he thought that the stigma against Hooters was gone, but he can clearly see that even though his business is growing, still, the majority of the customers don't really like his business. This is disappointing to Kobe, but Brittany and Amanda do love their jobs, so he's happy to see at least his employees like the restaurant. For his next job, Colby travels to South Arlington, Texas to work as an assistant general manager, and he meets up with Jimbo and he gives him the task of inspecting the girls. You might be asking what inspecting the girls mean, and Colby was also confused at first, and it means that Colby has to check the clothes of every waitress and pass them if they fit Jimbo's criteria. Colby is visibly uncomfortable with inspecting the girls, and he just passes everyone, but Jimbo doesn't go easy on the girls, and he starts to tease them about their flaws. And management comes easy for Colby since he runs a company, and he does pretty well at that job as well. After lunch, Jimbo gathers all the waitresses so he can decide on who to let go home early for the day, and Hooters' main income comes during the lunchtime, so not as many workers are needed after lunch. For his next job, Colby travels to Fort Worth, Texas to work with another manager, and he meets up with Marcy, and within 5 minutes, Colby notices how well she treats her employees, and she also has a great relationship with the customers, and everyone seems to like her. Colby then follows her around and learns from her throughout the day, and he's very impressed on how well she knows the job, and she reveals to him that she actually used to be a Hooter girl, and she grew up within the company to become the manager. For his last job, Colby travels to the factory where their dips are made, and he meets up with Ricky, and they first start with packaging the sauce. Colby does okay with this job as well, but he learns since he became CEO, the workers in the factory have not been really happy. Colby's father always visited the factories and was very close with the workers, but Colby rarely makes a visit, and everybody thinks that he doesn't care about them.
What's the word on him?
They probably hating the guy right now, but
the reason why Colby doesn't visit is because he's too busy, but he understands why the employees would think that way. And finally, Colby's undercover time comes to an end, and he invites his employees to reveal his true identity. First in was Brittany and Amanda, and Colby really liked their passion for the work, so he offers them to join the marketing department to help them come up with better strategies.
That we're not just Hooter girls.
We're not just girls that serve wings and serve beer, like we're real people.
Next in was Dave, and he tells him that he was a great worker and pledges to donate $50,000 to a charity in his name.
I was very, very happy with that. They're going to make a $50,000 donation in my name to something that's so near and dear to my heart with the military.
Next in was Marcy, and he tells her that he loved working with her and offers her a fully paid vacation for her and her family.
It's just awesome. More than I would have ever expected anyone to do for me. Anyone.
Last in was Jimbo, and Colby confronts him about his actions and tells him that what he did was unacceptable, and then he asks him to apologize to the girls, but Jimbo actually argues back and says that his way of management is good since he gets more sales than other managers. And this makes Colby very mad, and he tells Jimbo that respecting employees and treating them fairly is much more important than sales, and he then tells him that he's fired, and he ends the meeting.
I took a step back and okay, I get it. I'll make it happen.
We first start with the president and COO of 1-800-Flowers, Chris, and the company is headquartered in New York City. Chris will be going undercover as Patrick, an out-of-work house painter traveling with a TV crew, making a show on entry-level jobs. For his first job, he traveled to South Plainfield, New Jersey, to work with one of the designers, and Chris believes designers are one of the most important employees within the company, as their ability to design beautiful arrangements makes them stand out from other brands. He then meets up with Pauline, a florist designer, and she first shows him the design menu, and then they choose a design, and she shows him how to design an easy arrangement, and Chris tries to follow her lead, but struggles to keep up with her as he was unable to do a good design. Pauline is very passionate about her work and is a very fast worker, but she doesn't get fulfilled by her job as the company still uses outdated designs, and she tells Chris that design menus are made by someone in corporate and that the designs are pretty bad for the time, which is making them lose customers.
You come up with these?
No, I'd love to.
Who does?
I have no clue. Somebody in corporate does it.
Pauline has a lot of ideas on newer designs that customers would love, but the people in the higher-ups don't really listen to her, so she doesn't get to show her immense talent. Chris also learns that Pauline was never given any training from the company, and that when she wants to learn something new, she has to pay out of her pocket and learn it somewhere else.
And shows to get some new ideas. I pay for it out of my pocket.
Your boss doesn't pay for you to do that?
No.
But what?
For his next job, Chris travels to Canton, Ohio to work in their chocolate factory, and chocolate is something new for the company, and Chris is very interested to see how things work from the inside. He meets up with Nicole and she takes him to her station and shows him how to collect the incoming chocolates. She then leaves him alone for a second, and Chris couldn't keep up with the speed of the escalator and the chocolates start falling on the ground.
Slow down for a minute. I got chocolate falling out of the boxes left and right, and the floor is a mess.
And Nicole then rushes back to him and helps him out. While they work together, Chris learns that the factory workers don't feel appreciated, as corporate almost never visits them, and they also don't have an incentive program for people like Nicole that overperform.
The people from the office, Pat, that make these goals, they never come out to see how hard we have to work.
You don't?
No.
The next day, Chris travels to Boston, Massachusetts to work in one of the stores, and he meets up with the store manager, Dee, and she first teaches him how to cut flowers.
You how to cut?
Okay, good. Whatever you need me to do.
All right.
You just cut these just straight across?
At an angle, rather.
Is this good, D?
Very good.
They then serve the incoming customers, and Chris sees why Dee's store is one of the most successful stores in the company. Dee has a great relationship with the customers as she's very polite and does her job perfectly, so the customers come to her specifically because they really like her.
The only flower shop we go to, I mean, the kids come in here and they love it. And Dee's so friendly.
The two work side by side throughout the day, and Chris learns law from her, and later, the store's general manager, Stevens, arrives at the job, which is a big problem for Chris as he's met Stevens before, and he's scared that he's gonna figure out who he is and blow his cover.
I've met this guy before. He can blow my cover. I think he's, suspicious. This is,
Chris tries to hide around the back and wait it out until Stevens leaves, but Dee then assigns him to go with Stevens and deliver flowers to a customer. And with no other choice left, Chris joins Stevens, and as soon as he saw him, he recognizes him immediately, and Chris was forced to reveal his true identity. Thankfully, everything was not lost as nobody else knew who he was, so he tells Stevens about what he was doing and makes him promise not to tell anyone.
I'm undercover right now, going around to our businesses trying to figure out how we can do things better. So I need you to keep this confidential. I will. This is extremely important.
The day after, Chris travels to another store in Massachusetts, and he meets up with Cheryl, who teaches him the basic things and shows him how to interact with customers. Chris is then left alone to man the store while she takes phone calls in the back, and he was ready for the job, but no customer arrives during his shift.
I have to figure out how I can help her get the customers in the door. There's something wrong there.
He then asks Cheryl if this thing happens regularly, and she reveals to him that because of the company's name, 1-800, people think that it's an online store, so they don't really come into the stores, and this is making them lose a lot of customers, and she suggests changing the branding and the name of the company.
As hard as it is, because the name.
Why would that be?
Because of this area.
For his last job, Chris travels to Brooklyn, New York to work under the production manager, and he meets up with Jose, who was only 19 years old.
How old are you?
19. I started as a general helper.
Yeah?
It's kind of what you're doing now, cleaning up, sweeping, taking out garbage.
Jose's really good at his job, and he teaches Chris well, and while working together, Jose gets a call from his boss telling him that the CEO of the company, Jim, will be visiting that store sometime later. Jim arrives at the shop, claiming to just check up on the stores, but Chris knows he came to check up on him, which really annoys him, and the two act like strangers when they interact, and while Chris was doing his tasks, Jim starts making fun of him, which Chris doesn't really appreciate. Finally, Chris's undercover time comes to an end, and he invites his employees to his office to reveal his true identity. First in was Nicole. Chris remembers her main complaint and reveals to her that the company will start an incentive program so people like her can earn more and feel more appreciated.
Like, I'm a little surprised, and I'm really happy that somebody's noticing that I work so hard.
Next in was Pauline, and he offers her a job as a design counsel in headquarters so she can finally have a say on the new design.
My dad's been gone 8 years, and he helped push me to get to where I am.
And after that was Dee, and he tells her that she's an amazing manager and reveals to her that the new floral design will be named after her.
That they would name a flower after you, that's an amazing honor. I can't even put it into words.
After that was Cheryl, and he tells her that he's taken her recommendation and offers her a job in the marketing department.
I've never had anybody just recognize me for what I have to offer.
Last but not least was Jose, and he tells him that he was impressed by his leadership skills at just 19 years old and offers to mentor him, and then promises him $25,000 for when Jose is eligible to becoming a franchise owner.
Brother, and I was speaking to him, Mom, and he was my mentor, Mom. We're gonna open up a franchise business, but I can't believe it.